And welcome back here on Adobe Live. We're live from the 99U conference in New York. It is actually the 10th 99U conference that exists. So it's 10 years that this conference has been going on. It's a really great conference about creativity in general, about how to get things done, and how to spark your inspiration. And for the next hour, I'm going to be together with Verena Michelitsch. Hello, Verena. How are you?
Hello. I'm good.
Yes. We're going to be getting to know you a little bit better in the next 60 minutes, but we're also going to do a portfolio review in about 30 minutes. So I invite all of you to submit your portfolios. And because Verena does so many different things like illustration, graphic design, anything else?
Art direction.
Art direction.
Yeah.
So please focus your portfolios on these themes so that it makes sense for us to look at them in context. So welcome back here in the chat. Jean-Joël, bonjour. Angelo, Liam, Richard, hello everyone. And remember that if you have questions, this is all live, so please do ask them and we'll try to answer them.
Yes.
So Verena, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, first place. I am a graphic designer and art director and do a little bit of illustration too, as you already mentioned before. I am originally from Austria, but I've been living in New York since late 2011.
Okay.
I first came here to do an internship at Stefan Sagmeister.
Ah, all right.
For 3 months, but then already after the 3 months I realized I need to come back, and I did not plan on moving.
Come back to where? To Austria?
To New York.
Oh, okay.
I need to stay here longer, so I decided to look for a permanent job and applied at different studios, and eventually it worked out. Started to work at a studio called Row & Co. Did a lot of branding work for fashion brands there. After that, I worked at an advertising agency called Sid Lee. They combine it's a very design-focused advertising agency, and I got hired as a design director. So this was really a great opportunity for me to kind of learn. It was kind of a big role for me at that time, but I feel like I was able to grow into it. Then worked there until 1.5 years ago, and decided that I want to go freelance. And
that's always like a big step, right?
Yes. And it's especially a bit tricky when you're not American, because you have to figure out the whole visa situation, so it's a little trickier to get that. But eventually it worked out, and since then I've been freelancing. Started out freelancing for really bigger clients like Apple and recently Google. But what I really enjoy doing is also working for small brands and kind of building whole brand worlds for different types of clients.
That's awesome. You know that Stefan Sagmeister will be at OFF in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I'm actually in Barcelona
You're
at this time.
But
I'm not. But I don't have tickets to the OFF. It was a complete coincidence.
We should fix that. We should fix that.
Yeah,
where's Michael?
So cool. I've been to OFF a couple of times, but I would love to.
No, well, Verena is going to be in Barcelona during OFF.
Oh,
so we should fix something, Clearly.
I would love to.
All right, that's great. So hello to everybody in the chat.
Hello.
Yeah. So how did that feel? I mean, many people in the chat, like it comes. That's a question that comes frequently. Making the move from an agency kind of situation to freelancing, because many people start freelancing and then they go to an agency.
Yeah.
It's like a big jump, right? It's like.
Definitely.
What made it click in your?
So before I moved to New York for Stefan Sagmeister, I actually had my own little studio in Austria already. So I kind of went back to doing an internship after I've already been working for a couple of years. And I founded this little studio called On Guard together with two of my friends in Austria right after college. So it was quite unusual to do that. but it was just like a very good time in that small city to start your own studio, because there were many institutions just really supporting that. So we went for it, but eventually I realized that I kind of really missed mentorship in a way. We were just like really young and dealing with really big clients. We were sometimes very naive and made like a lot of mistakes. It was kind of a learning by doing situation, but I really enjoyed working directly with clients and also being my own boss in a way. And yes, so that was always something that I really liked. And now in New York, I decided I want this situation again.
Situation back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Awesome. Oops. I hope that didn't show on the screen there. Nobody was looking at the screen. Okay, perfect. All right, so why don't we start by looking at some of your work? Maybe
Sure.
there's some projects that you want to explore more with us and talk about.
Yes.
We're here on your website, verenamichelitsch.com. Maybe you can put it in the chat. And yes.
Yeah, we can start with the first project, Sasha and Luca.
Yes.
This was a branding project I just finished last year. I was really able to touch all points within the branding project. So I designed the logo. It's a kids clothing brand, and the whole brand is really about simplicity and versatility, and that you shouldn't be like too precious with kids clothing because it will get dirty. So the whole concept behind it is that you can throw it into the washing machine, the quality is really good.
And you won't be using it for long because kids grow.
Exactly, yeah. And also the three founders are all like female founders that are very kind of uncomplicated, very direct, and they really wanted an identity that doesn't feel like too cute and too kiddie, and also unisex in a way. And their whole clothing is really about lines in a way, because all of their clothing items have this like piping around the pieces. So this was kind of like the main idea for the branding project, to create a grid system that can always change and it can adapt to different means of
go back to
communication. Yeah, exactly. So this just shows how like a very simple grid system can adapt to different things. Also, of course, inspired by playgrounds and yeah. So this was just the idea to create like really simple illustrations.
Liam is asking some sort of a more technical question.
Yeah.
Did you build the site yourself, or?
I did build it by myself. I actually used a portfolio system that is built upon WordPress. It's called Simply.
They figured that out as well.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah. If you can suggest a caching speed or image resizer plugin for WordPress, do you use any of those?
I actually don't. I'm not a very technical person, but I just saved the images for web with Illustrator. That's what I did.
There you go, Liam. All right, sorry I interrupted you. So we were talking about the grid system, about the...
Yes. So besides the branding part, they also asked me to do photo art direction. So I was working on all the photo shoots for the brand. If you want to scroll down a little bit.
Tell me when to stop.
So like here, for example, it was really fun to work with kids on set, and the whole idea for the set was also to keep it very simple. We had those very basic graphic shapes. We came up with color concept for the set, and yeah, I worked on 3 different shoots with a lot of kids, which was exhausting and fun at the same time.
So did you have these sets built for the shoots?
Yeah, they were
the
custom built by a set designer, so we figured out every shot beforehand, because it is quite tricky to shoot with kids. It was also a great experience because it's usually every photo shoot is so planned out by the hour, and it's very hard to do that with kids because you don't know how they would react. So yeah.
So did any of the kids freak out?
Of course, yeah, definitely. But it was very sweet, of course. So yeah, hang tags and all the packaging I was also able to work on. And these are the business cards, so it just shows how this simple grid system can form different kind of unexpected patterns. And yeah, stationery tape for the packaging.
I love this detail, like how you showed that.
Yeah, note cards. Here's another one from the photo shoot. And then I worked on a bunch of different flyers and newsletters, and yeah. And here it shows how the clothing actually looks like. So it's kind of very simple primary colors.
And where's the lines that we also find in your graphics? Then?
Yeah, exactly. Here's more examples of how the grid pattern can transform into different illustrations for different seasons, for newsletters and so on.
Do you think your European kind of approach to design has had an impact on using the grid systems and things like this?
Yeah, I think going to university in Austria, I think that was always a big thing.
Yeah.
When we started to learn InDesign or Quark Express, even back in the days, it was always very important to set up a grid, and I was always really interested in working within grids and trying to be creative within grids, because sometimes I think these restrictions help you to really create interesting things.
Yeah, a grid is just like a box you build yourself to, and then you can expand out of that box.
But it helps to establish some rules for the design.
But it's always fascinating to me how Swiss and Austrian and German designers always start with the grid.
It's true.
I find that I find a more relaxed approach in the US or in Southern Europe.
It's so true.
Oh, that's
and this just shows the whole collection. I was also working on the.
It almost looks like little icons, but is this the real clothes?
Those are the real pieces.
Awesome.
Yes. So that's that.
Cool.
Then maybe this one.
This one?
Yeah. This is a book project that I worked on for a Chicago-based photographer called Kevin Cerna. And I really like photography. I just really enjoy looking through different portfolios of photographers. So he asked me to design a book that is exploring the relationship between him and his father, who is Mexican. And his father grew up in Mexico, but Kevin grew up in Chicago. So he was always very curious to find out more about his dad's past. And it was really interesting to kind of dive into the story of this little village that his father is from, and to lay out pictures in kind of a connection to each other, and just seeing how the pictures feel when you place them in a certain way, also based on a grid. But you can create some interesting tension to tell a story. And there's 5 different chapters that all talk about 5 different chapters of his life. So these are just bookmarks with some explanatory text in Spanish and in English. Yeah, and the whole town apparently is it just has this color, this beige color in a way. So it's very sand and dry, but you have these very rich colors emerging from it, and this was the inspiration behind the cover. To have this bright orange coming out of the...
When I was in New York, it was in the late 80s, I remember that most of the catalogs that I was working on would be printed in Europe. Is that still happening?
This was printed in New Jersey, actually.
In New Jersey? Okay.
Yeah, I haven't printed, since I've been living here, I haven't printed anything in Europe.
No?
Unless it was a project that I worked on in Europe. But there's a lot of amazing printers in Europe, but also in the US.
Awesome. I really like so it must be a nice texture as well to touch. And
yeah, we went through a lot of different pieces of this book cloth. There's so much variation within that. It's really fun.
Nice. Oops, no, I need to go back here. So varied, it's incredibly beautiful.
Thank you.
But I see the
This is
You like
also
it, yeah.
this is also a book of a photographer.
Any other projects that you want to highlight?
Yes, we could look at. Maybe scroll down a little bit more. So maybe this one. So I sometimes do this kind of very graphic illustration. I'm sometimes hesitant to call myself an illustrator because this is literally the only style that I'm drawing in. I'm just into lines and outlines and also even like grid systems within illustration. This was a project for the National Smithsonian Museum for the American in DC, and they asked me to create these really long scrolls for a new exhibition that just opened in January. So I was given, it's almost exhibition design, I was given a lot of content, photography, physical objects, and 2 colors to choose from. And I built this long scroll that would kind of tie together all content. And there's 3 of them if you scroll down for different rooms.
So did you get to choose also all the dark parts and then how this highlights, or did
No,
you
so
got the room?
Exactly, yeah, there was an exhibition designer in another studio already working on the exhibition, and they specifically came to me for this style because they wanted this very simple illustration style that would tie together the content to tell a story. Yeah, I really like working on exhibition design projects just because it is a great opportunity to work in space rather than just on printed things. It's a whole different
because it's also
experience.
something that you need, that people can move forward and backwards from it. You can like different angles. Stunning, nice. What a lovely display.
Thank you
really
very
nice
much.
job. Wow, a lot of compliments from the chat.
Thanks, guys. Then we could also look at the play section maybe on the portfolio. So I just created this section because I felt I have work and side projects where I wouldn't, that are not for clients and I didn't know where to kind of put them or where to categorize them.
How much time do you dedicate to these side projects?
There's no like a lot of time for it.
Okay.
I think it's just whenever I feel like I want to do something or I have an idea, then I try to make it, but it's always like either like on a Friday night or on a Sunday night or something. And I actually started working on this while I was working at Sid Lee, because my role as a design director there almost became more managerial. So I was sitting in a lot of meetings. It was all like a great experience, but I was not as hands-on anymore, and I kind of really missed exploring design and just like having fun with design. And I gave myself the brief of again creating this grid system and playing with different shapes over it. And some of them you might see a letter, for example a B, and some like an E. But yeah, it's just like a very like loose way without rules to explore shapes and color.
You do these things, for example, for like 36 days of type or?
Oh yeah, I always try to give myself for example 2 hours, and I would say like whatever it is within the 2 hours, I'm just gonna either post it, I'm just gonna finish it within those 2 hours, because I feel like there's almost no end to it. With these kinds of illustrations, they can always like get better. Some of them, like these 2 crystal-like shapes, that's actually photography with Photoshop. So it's actually shot in camera. It's plexiglass, stacked plexiglass, and lit with different lights, and then just cut it in Photoshop.
That's awesome. I would have never thought that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I think the play factor is something that that as creatives we tend to forget very frequently. But I think it's so important to really like dedicate some time or some energy, like Friday evenings or Sunday evenings, to to really play and to develop that. And I really like the fact that you created a whole part of your website with your play, because it's important.
I think it also gives the opportunity that if you don't have clients, if you want to get hired, if you want to do a certain style, and if you don't get the jobs for it or don't get hired for it, it gives an opportunity to just create the work, and then eventually someone will ask you to create something similar because you have it on your site.
Great. And then you also have your Instagram.
Yeah. So my Instagram, I post some graphic design work on there too, but it's a lot of...
Followed.
Thank you. It's a lot of photography. For my old job, I used to travel a lot for work. I used to be in a lot of international shoots, so I had a lot of time on my hands to just take a lot of pictures. And during that time, I really got into Instagram and just editing photos. And it's mainly photography things. It's also more kind of graphic photography, I guess.
And some things from your portfolio as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, please don't hesitate to ask questions. Thank you, Tim, for reminding in the chat. And Anita is asking, do you design jewelry? You know, the clean lines remind me of the Danish Georg Jensen kind of thing.
I don't design jewelry, but it would be fun to do it. I would love to do it. I have a couple of clients that are jewelry designers. So there's one on my website that was for Anna Sheffield, who is a jewelry designer. If you scroll up more up, this one.
This one? Oh.
So this was a branding project for a jewelry brand. And I also got to design this cigarette case. And this jewelry brand is really targeted towards a younger audience. It was sold at Urban Outfitters. It's kind of like cute but playful at the same time. It was one of my first like freelance projects in New York, like 4 years ago or something.
So as a freelancer, how do you feel clients find you, or is this a network that you've built up in time, and then word of mouth and people come back?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, when I was still in Austria, for example, I set up my Behance website, and I posted more work online just to make use of the internet really, and just to post a lot of work and also to get more international clients. And I think it really helped me to go to New York and to get a visa to do that. And I think nowadays most clients either find me over my website, or some of my clients would refer me to their friends.
It's like a snowball effect. It's
I think especially in the States, it's even more common to recommend.
And that's one fascinating thing as well. Like you're from Graz, which is a small town in Austria. I live in Florence, which is also a small town when you think of it. It's everybody knows Florence, but it's a small town. And Graz was the European city of design, no? So now what was it?
Yes, it was a European cultural capital.
Cultural capital, yeah.
And that happened in 2003, I think. They actually built a really big art museum. It's really great.
It's that weird shape.
It's this really organic shape. It's a great city for art and design and also literature, and it always has been since the 50s, I think. And there's a lot of like universities for industrial design, graphic design, and art. And although the city is so small, I think there's like a big accumulation of design studios.
But the thing is also that even if you're not in New York, if you're not in London, if you're not in Milano, is Milano is still relevant? I don't know. But it's super useful to have this online presence, and like Verena's. Oh, you see, you've been featured on Behance, graphic design, advertising, and Adobe. an inspiration is. Okay. Yes, and when you build up your Behance portfolio, your Behance community around it, it really helps even to work from remote places.
Yeah.
And I find it super interesting that you're in New York, but you're freelancing again. So because usually people move to New York to work for the agencies and the big corporations.
It's true.
But then when you think about it, even in a big city like New York, there's like little ecosystems that work like small cities, I guess, right?
Totally, yeah, so true. I think it's in New York, it's really the energy that is really adds so much to the work, I think, just because everyone's really enthusiastic about what they're doing. There's so many amazing designers in New York, and it's really nice to have that network that kind of supports each other. And of course, there's also a lot of clients, like either direct clients or agencies. I think it's a good place to also freelance.
Let's have a look at one last project of yours, and then we're going to move on to the portfolio reviews. Let's just scroll down here.
That's the Bing Bang Jewelry project. So I did their packaging and logo. This was a collaboration with Urban Outfitters. They also did a lot of other products besides jewelry, like these planners.
And the leather goods.
And leather goods and cigarette cases. So it's kind of like a very fun, playful brand.
So what's your favorite area? What kind of work would you be doing? Like, is everything, or just anything that comes your way? Or
I think I really enjoy to create worlds for brands. So I wouldn't call myself a person that you would go to if you need like just a logo or something. I'm really interested in creating a lot of parts within the branding, starting from the logo, but through art direction and even store design. For example, right now I really feel like I would love to do a store design or more interior design. So I just love all those touch points in a way.
Yeah, so creating a story around the brand.
Exactly. Yeah.
What is this?
This is an illustration project that I did with my partner for JPL. That's the Jet Propulsion Lab of NASA.
I recognize some of these things. Like,
this is actually...
Isn't that some of these things that they have on what is it,
Voyager? I think,
yes.
So they sent this up to Voyager. So the inner part of the illustration is something that they created in the 70s, I think. They sent this up to space because they thought that, I don't know exactly what it means, but these illustrations have some kind of logic behind to tell extraterrestrial life where
we are.
We are.
We are here in the solar system.
Exactly.
That's the sun, and we're...
Which I find very charming.
We are here, yes.
Yeah.
Come to us.
So we were asked by NASA JPL to create 2 badges, and they gave us those titles, Secret Order of Dark Matter and Dark Energy, that could be future secret clubs. So it was just, it's almost like a joke, like a fake kind of futuristic...
I hope.
club. Yeah. And it was for their internal use only. So stickers were made and badges were made out of it. But it was really fun because we got a lot of creative freedom, besides the fact that we had to use like this illustration from the 70s. But it was really nice we were talking to people that showed us references how dark matter actually looks like, visualized as I don't know how if it's a photo or if it's a infrared graphic or something. So we tried to somehow...
Illustrator's impression.
Yeah. So we interpreted those terms visually.
Cool. These are also fun projects, no? Like
I love those kind of projects. It's
a bit smaller than like a big brand identity, but let me see if... And I love this as well.
So this is an embossing stamp. I'm really into kind of different printing techniques and finishes. I did this illustration for my partner, who wanted to create a brand that can work for like all of these kind of sub-brands, and it's called House of von Schneider. And the illustration within the circle is this house, and the architectural cues that I took are from houses that he kind of lived in. So there's like architectural references of typical kind of Stockholm architecture, architecture that I saw like in Graz, and also modern architecture. So it's just this weird interpretation of all of these architectural things.
Yeah, I love this type of when design also becomes tactile.
Yes.
And I see a lot of that in your work, actually, like a tactile aspect of the book. You know, like that you went the extra mile to think about, you know, also an experience.
Yeah.
And not only looking at pictures, but also like the experience of opening the book. And I like things like that as well, like embossing that really add to a brand or a product.
Yeah, I think different materials, like even different types of paper really add to the character of the brand, because sometimes you can almost think of a brand as like an own like little creature or a character, and then it does really make a difference, your paper choice and all these things.
Yeah. Awesome. So remember, Verena has a website, her Behance, so make sure to follow her, give your appreciation to your work. I think this is all awesome stuff.
Thank you.
And now we're going to move to some portfolio reviews. So stay tuned, little reel. I'm going to open the portfolios and we'll be right back. All right, so the first portfolio we're going to be looking at is from Lauren Osoba from Kansas City, graphic designer.
Hi, Lauren.
Hey, Lauren, I hope you're in the chat. So if you have any direct questions for Verena, please don't hesitate. And you know, she also created an Adobe Portfolio. Maybe we can look at that, because that's a feature of Behance that's actually super cool, the Adobe Portfolio, which allows you to take all the work in Behance, which is structured like that, and to create a portfolio. So some people have, you know, you worked on it. So I clicked on one yesterday. It was like work in progress.
Okay.
Sorry, got to go back. So Lauren used that portfolio feature to showcase her work. So is there anything that you want to start with, or?
I just saw this and it sparked my interest. Cool. It looks like a book made out of wood.
So my portfolio cover, it's a portfolio cover, is a good representation of my work. Lo and behold means look and see. Since graphic design is such a visual profession, I created a set of site icons and patterns for my personal branding. I also, plus that my initials are Lo. Yep. Oh. Lauren Osoba.
Very nice.
So did you use a laser machine for that?
Yeah, it looks like a laser cutter. Yeah, it's very cool. I think especially for portfolios, it's very nice if you get something physical in the mail.
Yeah.
That stands out. So
is this something that you do still, or do you rely entirely on digital?
These days I really rely on digital, but when I first moved to New York, I think it was, I reached out to so many different agencies, and then I realized to really get remembered, I need to create something more physical. So I sent out like 10 portfolios, and I think it helped to stay in mind.
I think, you know, like now that everything is so digital, that sometimes when you get an analog reminder of somebody or something or a portfolio, it can really help.
Yeah.
I really love this.
Very nice.
This approach to it. Move back. So some line art, like the ones you like.
Should we look at this maybe?
This school funding?
Oh yeah, so infographics.
So first of all, Lauren, one thing that I really appreciate in your portfolio and how you present yourself is that you have some text, some explanation of what the portfolio is about, what the project is about, and a little bit about your workflow. So kudos for that, because it's very important.
Yeah, it's so important to have that context. Yeah, it's very cute. Very nice. See, I can see in her portfolio that she's also into this kind of like outline style infographics.
Let's move on to this box.
Yeah. That looks cool.
Ripple River Conservation is a concept for nonprofit. Okay. Works to save lives of animals and impact both water and land habitats.
Very cool. I like this glass, watery glass mock-up. Good job on the mock-up. So what is the... Also, she created a set of icons of animals. It's very sweet.
Very sweet, yeah.
What is the box for?
See what Lauren says. Oh, everybody's giving compliments to Lauren.
Yes, Lauren, looks amazing. Oh, I love the wooden fish.
Again, this is a very nice use of technology, because these laser cutters, and like if you have never used one, like try to find one in your area and see what it can do for you, because it gives a whole new depth to your work, because you can use the laser cutters on wood, on paper, and do a whole bunch of things that that your imagination didn't even think it was possible.
So true.
And having things like being able to do mock-ups like this, it makes it look so much more real. And
yeah, I really like that she put so much attention to the detail and how to present it, because I think these days it's really easy to mock something up and look nice with existing templates.
With Adobe Dimension, for example.
Exactly. But yeah, I also really encourage every young designer to play around with different printing techniques and silk screening or reso printing and all of that.
Yeah, reso printing is another one that's super interesting. It's a very nice project, Lauren.
Yeah, it's great. Very sweet.
Did you see something?
No. Should we go back to the main side?
Oops. Up we go. Okay, no.
Is there any project that Lauren wants us to look at?
Is there any? Yeah, Lauren, tell us. Oh, shipping stuff that the org sells. Okay. So you were asking before what the box was about. Yeah. You can apply. Okay, yeah, the portfolio reviews. Is the Ripple badge-like thing made from wood as well? Yes, I mean, it looked like it. The little...
Yeah. The tag, it looked like it. Yeah.
And since we're talking about like texture thing, maybe this was the...
Stamp.
What is it? Is a stamp? The seal.
Very cool. It also shows that you're very like versatile in your style. So this feels more like elegant and has also very different color palette and typography. So great work, Lauren.
And colors, yeah. And it's interesting how you focus on building the Facebook pages and how they would look. It's always hard to design those because in 2 months it's going to be another kind of layout and things.
True. And there's always this gradients that sometimes annoys me that you have to work with.
Awesome. So let's see if Lauren, maybe look at the Dolce or Type Hike. Okay, let's do that very quickly. Oh, Dolce or Type Hike, one of these two. Which one?
Let's look at the Dolce.
This one?
Yeah.
The bakery.
Yeah, or like you as an Italian.
Dolce.
Oh, cool. So that's a branding for a bakery. Looks very nice. So I can see that you're really into using these like icon systems. And there's also different typefaces, so it seems like a very like playful branding approach. Is this an actual? Is it actually in mock-up or is it an actual physical space?
It looks like a real physical space because there's a lot of attention in the reflections there.
Yeah,
if it was a mock-up. Great.
Very nice.
Thank you, Lauren, and keep on sharing your portfolios. Very little to say here. Yeah, one thing I always insist on is like give your projects a context. It's so important for people viewing it just to have a quick idea of what it is, and just images will not help because if I just saw this, I said, okay, what is it? Okay? But we did have the context.
I think it's also interesting to know if that's a concept, design concept, or if it really has been implemented by a brand.
Maybe it says it's, no, it didn't say it anywhere. No. Anyway, cool. Let's move on to the next one. Faika Kansin Gorsoy from London, graphic designer, curator, and art historian. Wow, that's a nice mix.
Hi, Faika.
So I see some illustration, I see some graphic design. Maybe if you want to...
Sure, the first one looked kind of interesting.
This one here?
Yeah.
Creative facades. Specialist in innovative and environment-friendly facade material. Okay, Creative Facade is a London-based startup. They reached out to me for the design of their global identity alongside their corporate stationery. So facade material. Okay, so to create the fields of buildings.
Yeah, it looks like a very minimal but effective stationery. I like the
second page.
I'm wondering about this little mark. Where it comes
Probably
from.
is it's the first page of the letter, the stationery, and the following pages. But yeah, you see, this is a perfect example, right? We're like here trying to figure out, so what is this? What is? I'm wondering what this. Don't make us wonder. Okay, this is very important.
I think you.
What is this? Is this just a white paper with? I'm deducting that this is the second page of your letterhead, because that's how they teach you also to make the first page, the following pages, etc. But we don't know.
I think you put a lot of effort into the presentation, which is really nice, and how everything looks with those little details. I think I'm really curious where this icon system comes from. I think I would be curious to see kind of almost like a step-by-step where it comes from.
Faika says, where was it? Oh, welcome. I'm so happy also. I'm a beginner level, so I feel excited.
Yeah.
You should be, like going into the creative industry is super exciting, I think, and it's so rewarding. It's not always easy at the beginning. It takes a lot of work, a lot of focus, and a lot of energy to get there. But once things get a little bit more comfortable, I think it's one of the more rewarding careers you can choose in life.
But you also never stop learning in a way.
Never.
It's always. I don't think that you reach a point where everything is always comfortable.
Yeah. So that you made a good point before. It's like, what is this? What are these dots and lines? And where do they come from? What does it have to do with facade? Your presentation is really good, but it lacks a little bit of context. Let's see if we can look at another project. So I see some illustration as well. Saren's individual art project created while at the Contemporary Art Studio, Atelier de Sèvres. Mythological creatures have a strong connotations related to both intimidation and temptation.
Very cool. So you're great with pencil drawings. That's amazing. That's something that I really admire because I can't do that at all.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. Yes. in that case, it's really practice makes perfect. Yeah, that's a nice side of your creative personality. Let's look at some other branding things, like maybe like this Decoral. Oh, another facade specialist. So you must be in the facade business. Okay. Through my collaboration alongside within the rebranding process, I also was asked to improve the company website. Okay. Yes. So I see the research and the colors and the color variations.
I think I'm wondering again where these abstract shapes are coming from. Either it's like, even if you would show this over a facade or a window, or if it's a functional icon piece to make people understand where this idea is coming from. I think because you're already presenting the kind of finished icon, which is very abstract, and I think it's important if you create something as abstract, which like definitely looks interesting, and I think it can work nicely in a brand system. But yeah, I think again to give a little bit of context.
Faika says it was mostly about the regularity of on facade panels, but you see here I don't see I see a straight path and then a path that crosses. I don't know. Also, I think especially in larger projects like this, where there's a logo, there's color research, there's maybe some type. It would be cool to also see some sort of process, like how you got to it.
Yeah.
One thing I really enjoy is maybe snapshots of a sketchbook or something where you have the various things that were thought about, and then why did you choose these 4 lines instead of something else?
Or if it's something in a physical space, if you have a photo and you just draw over it because that's what sparked your interest in the photo.
Yeah, that's perfectly right, Faika. Decoral is about refining former branding. Maybe I should have put also the evolution from the former version. Yes, so maybe that would have given us context. Like the former version. Okay, so basically you took the former version and modernized it. I'm guessing. All right. Let's look at one last thing from Faika. One thing that.
The one on the top, further up. This one.
This one.
She mentioned that she has like a curating practice too, and it felt like that.
Okay, so Handel and both lived in that building. It's kind of weird to put Handel and Hendrix together, but that's a very cool opportunity to be able to put these two things together. Yeah,
I think it's a really interesting task to work on that. I think like in the first image, this one, I would almost be curious to crop these images in a way that they're even more like similar, to kind of draw out parallels of stories of their lives or something. I like how you put them next to each other, but maybe you can even zoom in a step further and create an interesting tension with those portraits.
Yeah, so this looks like a real project.
And I see that maybe she, with the typography, if you scroll up, there might be some concept behind assigning one type style to Jimi Hendrix and the other one to Handel.
Great. So I think the lesson to be learned from this portfolio is really to give us more context. There's different variations of the poster and flyers and things. Yes, give us more context, give us more information about what the various things are, and what the goal was that you wanted to achieve. I really like this one where the 2 panels are the 2 different parts, but then you can really see that they work together in somehow. So there's a great concept here as well.
I think I would also love to see the actual space here, because it's really about the space. I think
great. Thank you so much, Faika.
Yeah, great work.
Yeah. Let's move on to Bernadette.
Cool.
Bernadette, where are you? Okay. So this is already a Adobe Portfolio. So let's see. Anything that springs to your mind?
Should we look
Like,
through?
you know what? Let's see who Bernadette is.
Yeah.
Okay, studying graphic design, information technology, Arizona State University, and your focus is animation, 2D and 3D design. Exposure to design community is growing every day. I cannot wait to see how my designs will develop. Open to collaborate in meetups and chats. Very important. Yeah.
Great, yeah.
Community is something that when I became a designer, there was no thing like that. You know, like you spend a lot of time in your library and going through annuals and things like that. And I think the opportunities young creatives have, or creatives in general now have, is this incredible community of like-minded people and people who are able to give you feedback on your design. So when you're a student, I think that is awesome. So let's go back here to the projects. So let me see.
Should we look at logos? Or?
Yeah, let's look at the logos.
Okay, so this, the first one. Is this actually an illustration for the whole section, or is that a logo already?
Yes. So Bernadette, that's a good point here, because when you say, okay, these are my logos, okay, I would recommend that you start with, putting them all together, like even small, okay, and then maybe you have them bigger down below. But right now, the first impact of the page really matters here, and I think we talked about that before. Is like, like right now, I'm looking at the page. It says logos, and I could have gone back immediately right now because I didn't see any logos.
Yeah.
So I think, okay, so maybe let's scroll, but then they're big, and it's okay that they're big, but
that's a funny one.
that's a logo for pizza website, Pizza on the Bay, class project. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, so be really sure to focus the attention of the viewer right away on what matters to you. And you mentioned animation. Is there any animation here? Is Bernadette here in the chat? Would have been cool to see some. No, I don't see any.
There's some 3D renders.
Interact preview renders from. Again here. Perfect example of how you have to give us context. What is this? What was the name of the project? What does it mean? I see that Tuscan landscape here. I see a brick wall.
I think I would also like to know what you exactly did in this rendering. If it's just the glass that you rendered, or if you also, painted the background or the brick wall.
Well, it looks like the glass was, one of the projects, and the chair.
And then also maybe instead of more renders, because you can't assume that people look at one project after the other. Maybe just give it like a different title.
Yeah. Okay, so Bernadette, there's still a lot of work that you need to be doing as a student. There's, focus on specific things that you're very good at, and try to expand your portfolio in these areas. And super important is really to give a quick overview to people like us looking at your portfolio, and to get a very quick idea what these things are.
Yeah, I think your skills that you're learning as a student are so broad at this stage. You say that you do 3D design, 2D design.
Yeah.
Maybe I remember that from being a student, I was also excited about learning 3D, but I very quickly also realized that I can't be great in everything. Yeah. So sometimes specializing helps.
Verena, thank you, Bernadette, for sharing your portfolio. Verena, I'm back to your portfolio.
Okay.
Because we're almost done. We're
Okay.
actually we're done.
Great.
Thank you so much for swinging by here at 99U in New York City. We're live here on Adobe Live for the next hours. So stay tuned because the show goes on. And Verena,
thank you so much for
very
having me.
Very inspiring work.
Very fun.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you. And see you in a second.
Je veux que tu saches. Réponds, dis-moi que ça va.